It's time now for our supersized edition of Worst of the Week. We had enough appalling behavior for 2 matchups. Let's go right to my panel. Kurt and Stuart are back with me. So first up, Kurt, we'll start with you. We've got Charlie Kirk, who capitalized on the debate around DEI initiatives with this moral panic by saying, quote, if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he is qualified. And then also this week we had Elon Musk saying, quote, aspirationally that he is Jewish during his image cleanup tour at the Auschwitz concentration camp. This followed his recent endorsement of anti-Semitic comments on X. So between those two, who do you got?
I think Charlie wins this one. The looking at a black pilot, questioning if he's qualified and saying that out loud. I mean, Elon Musk is nuts and crazy, and hardly anything he says makes any sense anyway, so I've almost come to expect that. But, like, saying something like that for Charlie Kirk, I'm like, good God, why don't you just, put your white hood on and right. Reveal yourself for what appears to be the person that you really are?
Stuart, between these two, between Charlie Kirk and Elon Musk, who's the worst of the week?
I got to go with Kirk. Charlie Kirk, who was head of college Republicans and never graduated from college, which kind of said it all. I'd be worried on a plane if I got on and I saw Charlie Kirk there flying it. What's happened is Trump, I think you can argue Trump hasn't made people more racist, but he's given people permission to be racist. And look, these are people, someone like Charlie Kirk should not be accepted into any sort of civil party. They shouldn't have anything to do with him. He should be tossed out the same way they tossed out John Birchers back in the 60s. And yet, he's like a full-fledged member of the Republican. You can invite him to fundraisers. Right. People praise him.
People covet being on the stage with him. Republicans want him at their events. They want him at their venues and speaking to their crowds. It's crazy.
Yeah, I think it just says it all about where the party is now.
Yeah, sadly. Let's talk about the second round of this, and that is Tim Scott. He was a guy who was once passionately campaigning against Donald Trump. This week, though, some very bizarre and enthusiastic praise for the former president. Watch.
It's a shame. It's a shame. Uh-oh.
I just love you.
No, that's why he's a great politician.
The part of that soundbite before is when Donald Trump says, you must really hate Nikki Haley, to which Tim Scott says, no, I don't hate her. And as you saw there, he says, I really love you. So Tim Scott going up another South Carolina politician, Congresswoman Nancy Mace, begging her staff during the January 6th Capitol attack to let her leave her office so she could go get punched in the face and get media attention. So, Stuart, we'll start with you this round. Tim Scott or Nancy Mace getting punched in the face? I feel like I'm getting punched in the face between these two.
I got to go with Tim Scott. Talk about a guy that has a great future behind him. He was a rising star in the Republican Party. I was there, when Mitt Romney was running in South Carolina. You'd go to events with him. He was very charismatic. He'd appear with Nikki Haley. And both of them have just chased each other to the bottom. Had they stayed with what they said originally about Donald Trump, they could be standing there now and saying, look, I'm more right than I thought I was. I didn't think Donald Trump would be a good president, but I never thought he'd try to overthrow the government. Instead, they've just sort of fallen into this trap of trying to appease Trump. And he hates everybody, Scott has. He hates everybody who actually doesn't stand up to him. It's just, I can't really think of anything sadder in American political life than waking up and being Tim Scott these days.
Yeah, it is a very sad state of affairs to see how far he has fallen for Donald Trump. But give me your take between these two on this round.
Yeah, I'm with Stuart on this. Tim Scott. I think of something that our Stuart and our good friend Rick Wilson often says, ETTD. Everything Trump touches dies. That means your dignity. That means your intelligence. That means your fortitude. That means your political future. And Tim Scott has mortgaged all of that so he can have this one moment where he's just sucking up to Donald Trump. I didn't think there was anyone in the United States Senate who could be more embarrassing than what Lindsey Graham had been the last 7 years. Right. Tim Scott just did that.
But one of the things that I don't understand, Stuart, and this is the part that maybe you can help me understand from a political perspective, what is the incentive for Tim Scott to stand on that stage and be humiliated that way? I understand that you don't want to get into a direct confrontation with Donald Trump. Fine, you don't have to go out there and criticize him at every turn. But why not just keep your head down, focus on your state, try to win your state, instead of debasing yourself and doing what Tim Scott and other Republicans, even somebody like Vivek Ramaswamy, who is like nobody, but now after being humiliated by Trump, being told that he's not even a real Republican or not real MAGA, going on the stage, standing beside him and kissing the ring. Why do people do that when there's no immediate threat to them?
Yeah, I miss shame. I don't know what happened to it. I think the only way you could look at this in any kind of remotely rational way is that Tim Scott thought he might be Donald Trump's running mate, which I don't think is going to happen in a million years. But, ambition does crazy things to people and gets them to rationalize things that they know they shouldn't be doing. And this is what's happening across the board with a lot of these Republican senators who are now endorsing Trump. You take someone like Tom Cotton of Arkansas. The guy couldn't be stronger for Ukraine, but he's now supporting in lavish North Korean-style praise of Donald Trump, who clearly is a Putin candidate. So I think the party's just lost its mind. And, I don't know how to stop this except to defeat these people.
Yeah.
That's the only way to teach them a lesson. You have to beat them.
What do you think is the way forward? I mean, and also, what do you think happens in the forward when Trump is off the stage? At some point, he's going to leave, the American politics one way or the other. His presence won't be there, but, Trumpism might very well be there. What do you think happens to people like Tim Scott or Tom Cotton?
There's a great line from one of my favorite shows, 30 Rock, where Alec Baldwin's character is telling Tina Fey's character, sometimes you have to go down to go back up. I think the Republican Party needs to go down. They need to fail. They need to fail miserably. They need to lose big time. And that will create Donald Trump's exit off the stage and allow the Republican Party to move in a different direction. But failure is the thing that they need to try to cure all of this.
But when you see the people in the wings, they're embracing Trumpism in a weird way more than Trump. I mean, you look at what happened to Ron DeSantis, for example. Mm-hmm. He tried to run right of Trump.
Yeah, and you look at a lot of those candidates that did that in the last election cycle, they didn't end up becoming U.S. senators. I don't think Mehmet Oz is a senator right now.
Kirk Bardella, thank you so much. Stuart, Stephen, thank you as well. Greatly appreciate both of your times tonight. Now